This is the Big Sur region along the central coast of California. Here, the vast and expansive Santa Lucia Mountain range rises dramatically out from the depths of the Pacific Ocean. Prior to the arrival of Spanish explorers in the 16th century, archaeological evidence suggests that the area has been sparsely inhabited by the Esalen people for over 5,500 years. The Spanish began settling the region in around 1770, when the California missions, a series of 21 religious outposts, were established. It was around this time that they first gave a name to a phenomenon they did not understand. Something watching them from between the dense, tall trees and the rugged ridges of this mysterious, untamed landscape. Something that the natives already spoke of. Los Vigilantes Oscuros. In contemporary times, the entities to which the Spanish were referring are known as the Dark Watchers, a group of mysterious, elongated humanoid figures who stand on the peaks and slopes of the Santa Lucia Mountains, often wearing wide-brimmed hats and flowing cloaks. Some eyewitnesses even report them carrying sticks or staffs. There are not usually any facial features depicted, and the majority of sightings take place at dawn or dusk, with the humanoids silhouetted against the sky. The Watchers have been cemented in popular culture by author John Steinbeck, who includes a substantial reference to them in his short story, Flight. Pepe looked suspiciously back every minute or so, and his eyes sought the tops of the ridges ahead, Steinbeck wrote. Once, on a white barren spur, he saw a black figure for a moment, but he looked quickly away, for it was one of the Dark Watchers. No one knew who the Watchers were, nor where they lived, but it was better to ignore them and never to show interest in them. They did not bother one who stayed on the trail and minded his own business. The Watchers have inspired other forms of artwork too. After a meeting and conversation about the legend with Thomas Steinbeck, John's son, Californian landscape painter Benjamin Brode was inspired to venture into the wilderness of Big Sur and capture that mysterious energy which the wilderness seems to radiate. Here are some of the paintings he produced. I think you'll agree that, despite not blatantly depicting any shadowy apparitions, Brode's work captures that eerie feeling of travelling through a desolate wilderness, that creeping instinct that you are not alone. While there are many contemporary sightings of the Dark Watchers, many eyewitnesses and local inhabitants report that you can feel the history of the Big Sur region, from the natives to the Spanish settlers and the more recent military history of the area. It has that dense sensation of existing out of time. The Dark Watchers seem to encapsulate this feeling, almost as though they are the personification of it. There is something about the action of watching that has an air of ancient wisdom. There is an omnipotence to these entities, for only by watching and listening do you learn, and it would seem that these creatures have been doing just that for centuries. A Reddit user, KACastle86, who used to live in Monterey, just north of Big Sur, mentions this historical feeling and recounts an experience they had while working near the now abandoned Fort Ord barracks. By far my strangest experience was when I was working late one night. I worked at a Starbucks location there, and I clearly saw something lurking in the bushes outside of the side windows. Couldn't make out a clear shape, but it scared me. Oddly enough, 2 Native American men came in around that time. They gave me a very odd look. One peeked out the same window where I saw the thing. Then they nodded at me, took their coffee, and sat there the rest of the night, occasionally glancing out that same window. Seemed really odd, but I swear they saw it too, and I felt very safe with them in there, like they were keeping an eye on it for me. It was really, really strange. A more traditional encounter with the Watchers comes from Takahomo Olsen too. My husband and I were in California a few years ago for the wedding of my ex. Yeah, I know, Strange we actually got an invite. He and his new wife took us to Big Sur near the Santa Lucia Mountains. As we were sightseeing, I looked at the mountains and asked them about the thin statues on the peaks. My ex and his wife looked rather scared and asked, "Oh my god, you saw them?" I asked what the story was with the statues and they said, "Not statues, they are the Dark Watchers. The local NA tribes know more about them, but they've been here since the beginning of time." That creeps me out. But is there really a group of slender, silent shadow entities inhabiting the Santa Lucia Mountains? I don't know, but there are numerous proposed explanations for the phenomenon. Perhaps the most blatant is that they are merely a trick of the light. Most encounters with the Watchers seem to occur at either dusk or dawn, when untrained eyes could easily mistake the tall silhouettes of trees or the projected shadows of hikers for something more sinister. Pareidolia is likely also at play, with figures seemingly appearing in the low cloud level or rugged rock faces. Hallucinations are not uncommon at high elevations also, with less oxygen reaching the brain and exhaustion from climbing causing the mind to play tricks. A more surprising theory, especially for an outdoor environment, is infrasound. This refers to a sound frequency between 7 and 19 Hz, which has been proven to cause anxiety, dizziness, terror, and even hallucinations. In Big Sur, infrasound frequencies could be generated by the wind blowing through the valleys and along the sharp ridges of the mountains. However, there is no single conclusive explanation, and in all likelihood, the Watchers are an amalgamation of all these factors, with a healthy dose of imagination and generational folklore keeping them alive well into contemporary times. For me, the most significant aspect of this story is the mysterious, richly historical landscape it occurs in. It doesn't come as much of a surprise that the Dark Watchers would emerge from a setting which has seen activity from a multitude of cultural groups in over several centuries. Although you could argue that it's just the mind playing tricks, we all know the real, unnerving sensation of being watched. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.